Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. Hopefully, you guys are blessed and doing well. We're diving right into today's topic and discussion. If you guys see the thumbnail or the title, Puerto Rico contemplates a reunion with Spain. We're going to be talking about this. This is something that's kind of been boiling up lately. I've been seeing some conversations online, people speaking about it. Is this possible? Is this something that could happen in the near future? We're going to be breaking that down and what it looks like, right? Before we do that, my brother Jeremiah, how you feeling today? How you doing?
Feeling good. Another wonderful topic. Good to see. Hey man, quick question. Real quickly. How are you, bro? How are you?
Man, how am I? Right now in this moment, I'm gonna be honest, man, and this is not just me being optimistic. I feel a lot of gratitude. I feel blessed, and this is something that this is a topic I'm excited to talk about. So I'm not just saying it because I hit record. I'm being honest. I feel blessed at this moment. Grateful that you're here. We were
Absolutely.
talking about a couple things before we hit record, and it's just dope to see some of the things that you're doing, and we're just
Appreciate it.
working, grinding. We're both at it, so yeah, I can't complain. I really can't. And right now, I'm looking at look. This is how you know I can't complain, man. I'm looking at downtown Dallas. I can never
Yeah.
complain with this view, man. Like this is a blessing. I prayed about this. Not to get too motivational on y'all, but it's funny. I remember when I used to always, I still say it from time to time, but thank God it's Monday, right? I was talking to
hmm
somebody yesterday that I was doing some work with, and I'm on the phone, and he was like, I'm waiting for him to send me some things via email, and he's like, man, I hate Mondays. And in that moment, I was like, yo, I didn't say it to him, but I was like, in that moment, I'm like, I feel bad for this guy. Because for
Yeah.
him to hate a Monday a day, and I know it's like a common thing to say, but man, I
Hey.
got I got nothing to complain about, bro. Like I remember when I had a view and it was just like dried up desert, but I was still grateful for that view. And now we're here in Dallas, and you're gonna have a phenomenal view as well pretty
About to
soon.
have a
So
phenomenal view. Yeah, I'm about to have a phenomenal
so
view.
that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah. No, I had to ask that because I feel like people always hear me and they hear my excitement. I'm like, hang on, let me turn it around
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I
to
appreciate
the
that. I
most
appreciate that.
excitable person. I mean, Chris.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
man.
Yes, sir. I love it. With that being said, speaking about view, speaking about Jeremiah currently in the process of moving to Puerto Rico, we're going to be talking about PR today as we teased in the beginning. There's a group in Puerto Rico that has put forward several proposals to cut ties with the United States and realign with Spain. Now, I want to say this before we get into the details. This is not an official thing. There are multiple articles out here, out in the internet talking about this. This is not official. Last time we kind of spoke about something similar, people were going crazy in the comments, like, "Oh, this is fake news. This is da da da." Da." No, this is real news that's coming out. It's an organization that have an interest in joining the European Union by reuniting with Spain. This is a small political movement born in 2017, and it's gaining a lot of momentum with this bold plan for Puerto Rico to reintegrate themselves with Spain as its 18 autonomous community. Now, 18 autonomous community, what does that mean? Currently, Spain has 17 quote unquote communities. The easiest way to think about it, it's like it's broken into 17 states, right? If you look at a map on, and I don't want to use the word states because they use a different term, but for people to understand it a little easier, Spain has about 17 states, and this group wants to be the 18th, right? Now, the founders of this movement claim that approximately 13% of Puerto Ricans support this idea, viewing it as a pathway to a more prosperous future. All right, so the organization leader, his name is Jose Lara. Puerto Rico never wanted to separate from Spain, as he says. He also argues that since becoming a U.S. territory, Puerto Rico has experienced over a century of stagnation under American governance. that hasn't granted them complete citizenship rights. He also quotes and says, "We want a future of progress, and we believe that future lies in Spain." All right, so we're going to be diving into this. Obviously, in order for this to even become a reality, like there's a lot of things that have to go right for this organization. But we're going to talk about it. It's something that's very interesting. And when you, Jeremiah, when you first seen this article, as you're in the process of moving to PR, what were your initial thoughts about this?
You want the truth? Um, my initial thought was that while it seems or it sounds like it was, I guess, in the right place, um, what's the difference is what I basically thought. I was like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just be a state with the United States then? And I mean, he later on in the article he was talking about the stagnation, and while I do agree with it, who's to say that you would have been in a better place under Spain rule?
Hmm.
Because if you look at it in the place where Spain was, ruling multiple different Philippines,
Yep.
all these other places, right? Spain lost all of its entire empire, and so who's that's what I'm saying. Who's to say? Who knows whether
What I
you'd
was
be
saying.
better or you'd be worse? We know what you are with the United States. You know what you're going to expect. What do they say? A known devil is better than an unknown. So you
Hmm.
know what you're going to get. You know what's going to happen. But that's initially what I thought. I was like, what's the difference? Like, you want to be a
Hmm.
part of Spain? Why not just be a state? You want to be a state of Spain? Be a state of the United States. It seems like it would make more sense. I mean, that well, the euro is stronger. I guess
Hmm.
if we're thinking about like some positive things, right? The language, there's not a overall language barrier, although Spain Catalan is totally different from Spanish what we speak
Totally
kind of, but
different.
the euro is stronger, so it takes I think 1 euro is like a dollar 18.
$18, yeah.
So, yeah. But what's the difference? I mean, what'd you think?
I
Because
mean, look, this is
I
what
was
I'll
I was
say.
kind of stuck. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's a great perspective that you bring up. I mean, look, I what I understand is at the end of the day, this organization, they want change. They want something different from what's been happening. So I think what kind of happens is like you propose something new and people rally behind it. And maybe there's not as much thought that goes into the details of it. Now on the flip side, we have spoke about how there is a large population of Latinos that are skipping to migrate to America, and they're going to Spain. They're wanting to go to Spain, and Spain is welcoming, bringing them in with
Yeah.
open arms, right? There's Latinos in America that I personally know that have moved to Spain, right? Just for a different way of life. In addition to that, there is already a way for Puerto Ricans to gain Spanish citizenship. So there's, if you know about that, there you can potentially get that if you're interested in that currently. But at the end of the day, I do agree with you. It's like for this to happen, we would have to become independent first. So why not, in my opinion, if it's something that the people really want to do, why not test the waters with independence for an extended period of time? And if you need that additional help and you feel like America wasn't the one helping you out, then potentially look into a partnership. But to jump into it immediately, I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense.
I mean, where were you gonna? I guess the basis of it is not only would you have to change your monetary system, so that's gonna affect the cost and quality of goods. You have to also start thinking about the way things are taxed.
Hmm.
You know, tariff implications from United States. You already with the Jones Act, we already pay a massive amount of taxes for things that go to Miami and then come back down to Puerto Rico. So, you know, how does that flip when things are coming from Europe or when you're now not a protectorate, but now you're an independent state or you're just a foreign
Hmm.
nation? Now tariffs apply to you, right? What is the
Hmm.
overall cost of that on the Puerto Rican public and on the overall government that's already struggling under a basis of debt that we defaulted on? So for me, it's like, hey, I hear what you're saying, but you haven't really fully thought out
Hmm.
that to me. I mean, you haven't really thought it out. And like you said, just go independent. Here's the craziest thing that happens. every time someone comes up with another one of these schemes, it takes another piece of the population
Yep,
under them.
13%.
And then what you end up doing is separating and splintering
Yeah.
what could be a nice, conjoined effort for just independency. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
I see. Like you get all these little things and everybody wants to be these other and do this other. And it's like
That's a good
you're
point.
just you're just taking away numbers from a cause that could actually be successful
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
they're like 13% of the people want to do this. It's like, great. Well, you just now took from the independency movement.
Mm.
Like you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone has to come together and figure out something that's going to be successful and thoroughly think through the cost of what you're doing and not just culturally and things like that, but I'm also talking about like the actual economic cost. Well, they probably say we're not winning with the dollar, we're not winning with the United States. Yeah, but imagine if, right, the United States is closer than Spain. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine you having to get stuff from the United States, but now it's at the range of a tariff. Instead of just paying taxes that are, somewhat controlled and yeah, they suck, but it's still not as high as the tariff.
Mm.
And what do you think will happen? I mean, we know how Trump feels about Puerto Rico, so how high do you think that tariff would be?
He might just do it on purpose, just to raise it on purpose.
Yeah, sure.
You
So,
know,
and
and
I'm just not fear mongering. I'm just
yeah, no,
stating,
for sure.
facts of stuff that's stated, stuff that's already known. Not, I don't want to, because people be like, "Oh, you're fear mongering." That's not what I'm trying to do.
No, no, no. I don't think you are by any means. I think these are valid questions that you have to ask when you propose something like this, right? And people may talk about, well, what about the Canary Islands, right? Well, the Canary Islands, yes, they're a
Yeah.
little further from Spain, but it's still on the west coast of Africa. We're all the way in the Caribbean.
Yes.
That's a hell of a distance. You know,
Yeah.
if we need some
I mean,
type
and
of
the Canary
aid or
Islands
something like that, man,
and the Canary Islands have been, I mean, the Canary Islands have been a part of Spain already.
correct.
Right. I mean, it's no different than Cape Verde. It's a part of Portugal. So these are things, and they may have their independence now, but they were a part of Portugal for a long time. So what I'm saying is these places already have the culture of the I hate to say colonizers, but of the parent
Yeah,
country,
yeah,
right? You'd be changing them. And they're like, well, we do too, but you don't. You're actually more Americanized than what you even
hmm,
realize, especially Puerto Rico like more than any other Caribbean Spanish nation, more than Cuba, more than
for sure.
um, freaking Dominican Republic. We're
Yeah,
like Americanized
yeah.
to the T. Yeah,
And so what's interesting about that is in addition to the economics, like how is that shift gonna look culturally? You may say, like you said, oh, well, the Spanish is already there. Yeah, that's true. But like you
it's
said,
not though.
a lot of a lot of Puerto Ricans,
It's
they
not though.
are very much Americanized.
Yeah, I
You strip
mean
that from
the
them,
styles,
how is that gonna work out?
the music, like your culture is more intertwined, and almost also thinking about. I want you to think about something. There's more Puerto Ricans in New York than there is in the island. And so
Hmm.
your culture is directly integrated into New York, right? Like that's a piece. Everyone has family that's in New York or on the East Coast.
Everybody.
So you're like your heritage and everything intertwined with Puerto Rico is linked with, at this point, is linked to the United States. And you
Mm,
don't have to agree with that, but that's a factual statement. So it's like, what's the happy medium, or what would be the best decision based upon economics, based upon location, based upon our cultural influences? I mean, that's easy to understand.
hmm,
It's a very simple
hmm.
question to answer to me. Um,
Yeah, and look, and for this to happen, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're gonna have to be independent anyways. It's not like US is gonna be like, okay, we're gonna trade you for you, and this is, you're gonna have to vote. And the vote has to be overwhelming. We're gonna have to win. It can't be no, how it is in PR. It can't be nothing
yeah,
close. It can't be 50%,
yeah.
40, or, whatever. It's got to be an overwhelming in favor of independence. Once you do that, then potentially you can go that route. But, I don't see this happening anytime soon, especially
I mean, people
with the young lady that's in, that's running right now in PR or hiding.
hiding, definitely hiding.
I'm playing it, man. I'm being
I
messy.
mean, though the so people have to understand too, there's a couple things. Puerto Rico used to be a very large naval base there. I mean, there's still
Mm-hmm.
stuff there, but the positioning of Puerto Rico in the Caribbean is very it's a key, it's a strategic location,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So America's number one. America's not getting along with the European Union. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't get along right now. Trump and them don't get along. Okay. So not only would he charge them an extremely high amount of money to for you to purchase Puerto Rico, right? Which they're not going to pay that. But also he probably just wouldn't do it because of this like the position of Puerto Rico and being able to take US ships and stuff there and station them there in case what if something pops off in South America.
Mm-hmm.
It's just right. It's a fueling station. The position is very important to America. So I don't see it happening. That's me. But
Yeah. And I one of the questions, and we're not trying to sit here and bash this organization. And at the end of the day, I can stand for, and I could salute people that want change and they're trying to do something. They're trying to form something. I could respect that, right? But one of the questions I would ask to this organization, to the leader, is do you guys want to be like an official state, so an autonomous community, or is it another free association like what we already have in America? And if it's either one, what does it look like? What does that partnership look like? That's what I would ask them, you know. And I don't know it.
I think Puerto Rico should study Texas. We've spoken about this
Yeah.
previously on it was maybe a year or so ago, but you need to study Texas. Texas has the ability, if anybody, people, what does this have to do with it? Like, so Texas, if you ever go to Texas, the flag of Texas, right, is the same height as the United States flag. Only state that you'll ever see that. Their flag is the same height, right? That's important. They're equal, right? Texas at any given moment could split away into one whole state or five different states. It has its choice. And there's no backlash. There's nothing that could ever happen to Texas. It could literally be its own country because it was at one time, right? And so Texas is a basically it's an association or like a it's an actual independent country basically that decided to be in union with the United States as a
Mm,
part of the Texas Constitution, right? Which give them the right at any moment to break away if they feel like that's what they wanted to do. And so I think Puerto Rico should maybe study the Texas Constitution and the rights that Texas has, and that's how you should join the union.
mm-hmm.
Be a state, which is fine. Texas is a state, but the Puerto Rico flag still remains where it's set, right? It still flies the same. Everything stays the same, but now you have more power and you're guaranteed more rights and you're guaranteed more benefits as a state. You can actually vote. There's, congressmen, senators that would come. So these are things that are very important that I think should be studied. Just me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at this whole thing, their heart's in the right place, but
For
maybe
sure.
the intention is good, but you need to study a different model
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
think
No,
you're
that's
trading
good.
the right shoe for the left shoe, basically.
Mm,
It's the
mm.
same thing.
Yeah, and that's a good. I think you brought up an excellent point that I think at the end of the day, collectively, the community has to get together, however that looks. And I want to say this before I get into that. I believe one of the things and I don't know if we spoke about this last week, but one of the things that I see that's missing in our society, whether it's in America, whether it's in Puerto Rico or the Caribbean, we're missing like the figure, that person that we can go to, like
I
a
agree.
Malcolm X, like a Martin Luther
Sure.
King, like somebody that we
Like a
can
margin.
follow, somebody that can bring
Yeah.
Abiso Campos,
Yeah. Yeah.
these different names, these people that can come together and we can make decisions. I haven't seen that, you know. I don't think we have that at all. So, but my point is to come together and decide, like, yo, instead of like you said, splitting up the pie, those numbers can go to independence. If this is what we want, let's vote independence and then let's take it from here to see what we want to do in the future. But breaking it up and creating this, creating that, going here, partnering with them, you're gonna be in a situation where you have more people that want to just become a state.
I mean, you got two options. You want a case study? There's two case studies that are phenomenal, and we love both of them. We've talked about them. I gave you Texas. That's the state route. Here's Panama as the independent country.
Panama, El
Two,
Salvador, Costa Rica are three great example.
yeah. I mean, Panama in particular, though, because they were actually like owned by the United States, right? It was the
Correct.
United
You're
States
right.
up until 1999. So if you want to study like an actual case study of what split, Texas went the state route and
Hmm.
Panama went their independent route, still use the dollar,
Hmm.
still use the dollar. So you got two case studies of how to do it and improve upon each of them. I think that, we got to start studying history and studying the stuff that's around us instead of always trying to reinvent the wheel.
Hmm.
Lord knows Puerto Ricans, we love to reinvent the wheel. We want to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
everything. We believe we're the
yeah.
God's gift to earth. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. But yeah,
I
I
think
think that's
I was jumping the gun a little bit. I was looking at like the next step to that would be looking at like in El Salvador and Costa
for sure.
Rica, what
For
they're
sure.
developing, how
For
they're
sure.
developing their economy and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a great point. Texas and Panama. Um, Look, if you've ever been, if anybody's listening, you've ever been to Panama, like yes, they use the U.S. dollar, but their culture is thriving and it's they're I
Sure.
mean they're doing fun. You drive. I was tripping out when I drove into Panama. Um, I thought I was in Miami.
Yeah, you
Like they
would.
got tall buildings everywhere,
Skyscrapers. Yep.
skyscrapers and all
Yep.
types of stuff. I was shocked. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought I was in
I mean,
Miami.
and that's the listen, there's ways to how to do everything, right? But it takes planning and it takes actual structure. So, but before 1999 occurred, Panama started studying how they would run their economy. Hey, do we kick the dollar out? No.
Mm,
Dollar's stable. Dollar's going to keep everything, it'll keep us from having massive inflation. We have something that most things in Central and South America don't have. We use the dollar. It's a stable currency. It's traded worldwide. Like, right? So a lot of thought was placed into the way that they moved. And I just think Puerto Rico needs to
mm,
put more thought into it. I know that people are thinking. I watch very, very intelligent people. The problem is, like you said, the very intelligent people, they're not the people in power. People in
mm.
power are uh, other type of people that are
Man, I
making
don't know.
money,
I don't
hiding,
know what they're doing, man. I don't get. I would just love to be in the room just to hear like, yo, something. I need to know something.
super quiet. I don't think she's spoken in like it's been months. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard. I think it's like been months. They said they can't even find that woman. They don't see her. No one talks to her.
I can't- She on the beach of Culebra laying out, bro.
I don't know where she at, bro. I think she went to
She might
Vieques or
not even
something.
be there, bro.
Might not even be there. She might not. She might not. I don't know. But nobody's
Yeah.
like, there's no conversation. So that's not the type of leadership that you need. You need someone that's thoughtful. Um, God, for as much as they talk about AOC, she would probably be, to me, she'd be better. Radical on some stuff,
Yeah.
but
But
I
hey,
mean, everybody's got flaws, but you would definitely hear from her.
but the as we've spoken about, the people for better or for worse, the people that have the radical mindset, they come in, they make a change,
It
and
changed
they
things.
make something shake for better
Yeah,
for worse.
yeah.
And I
Shouts out to
think,
Trump. Shouts out to Trump on that too, because
yeah,
he's a radical person, and if you can't say anything about him, he's got his own ideas. No one controls him. He just now, whether that's good or bad, that's up for debate. But
yep, yep.
definitely radical. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
So I think that's what we wanted to cover today. Very interesting topic. Um, Man, I'm just kind of like marinating and thinking about how can we bring our thought leaders together in our community and come up
We
with
have
a
to.
plan. Yep.
I was gonna say we have to start prioritizing intelligence and vision. Black
Hmm.
and brown people, Latinos in particularly, we don't value intelligence. We
Hmm.
value other things. So the music, it's funny. Somebody said the other day, they said, "Hey, Bad Bunny's not educated. Bad Bunny can't tell you fiscal policy. Now he does a heck of a lot for Puerto Rico. So
Right.
I hear what they're saying, but it's like, hey, but you are educated. So maybe you need to be doing the things that he's doing to figure out how to get your voice out the way that he's doing, but it's not. Go ahead, man.
No, I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say I wanted to bring up a point that you said before we hit record,
Go ahead.
and this is the perfect time to bring it up. I think what we were talking about is so many people are focused on ourselves and just our family,
Yeah.
which is, hey, if
Yeah.
that's you, you want to do that,
Yeah.
absolutely, you're entitled to doing that. But there's a flip side to it to where we also need people playing their roles. And in that
Yes.
scenario, Bad Bunny is playing his role at the highest level. He's
Playing
doing
role at the highest
whatever
level.
he has to do, right? He may not be talk. He potentially can't talk about fiscal policies and whatnot. We don't know that. We haven't sat down with him and asked him.
You haven't asked him.
But if
Yeah.
that's the case, he's doing what he has to do at a high level. You can't be mad at it.
No, I'm not mad at it all. I'm appreciative. Um, I heard that, but then when I heard that, I was like, well, you're educated, but no one even knows who you are, because you don't have the platform, you're not out there, right? Or maybe instead of condemning him or saying people shouldn't listen to him, maybe you need to be writing him. He's
Mm,
very accessible, so maybe you should be talking to him and teaching him fiscal policy. So when he's out there and speaking, he can say the things that you would like him to say, or things that are better for Puerto Rico. So
mm.
I would just say for us to try to do that, we're going to have to place intelligence and position, as a priority.
Yeah,
I think we do worship entertainers and stuff too much,
we
but
do. We do.
I've never seen someone. So outside of Bad Bunny, I've never seen these educated lawyer-based politicians. I haven't seen them create the change that he has in Puerto
Hmm.
Rico.
Hmm.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah, you're right about that. The entertainment, the low frequency stuff, we eat it up.
We do.
We eat it up. So, look, y'all, we would love to know. I really want to know people's thought about this
Me
and
too.
what they think about this. And so, leave us a comment down below if you guys think that we're crazy and you think this can actually work. Please let us know. Comment down below. If you think it's a good idea, but maybe this is a 30-year plan, cool. Let us know and share, subscribe, let somebody else know in your inner circle about this platform. And as always, we thank you guys. It's the Latin Wolf family. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.